I ignored this story. I ignored this story because it's not a story. Why is this news? I periodically watch Fox News. Do you know who Pete Hegseth is? I believe he's the weekend host for Fox and Friends. And for some reason that is beyond, no. I think I know the reason. Okay, here's the story. USA Today. Fox News host Pete Hegseth comes clean. I do wash my hands. You may be asking, why does anyone care that Pete Hegseth announced he's washing his hands? Because on an episode of Fox and Friends, he jokingly said, I haven't washed my hands in 10 years. I can't see germs, so they don't exist. It was a very obvious joke. But the media is so obviously... There's so many things wrong with the media. They're desperate. They're biased. They tend to be liberal. So, of course, when a Fox News host makes a joke, they're going to run with it far and wide and act like he literally doesn't wash his hands. That's insane. Okay? What are you thinking? Listen, I'm sure the guy takes showers, washes his hands in the shower. You think the dude doesn't... Yes, trust me when I say people were sharing this story like crazy. Left-wing media was acting like it was true. Is serious? Let's read this. Fox News host Pete Hegseth says all the hand-wringing on Twitter about the fact that he doesn't wash his hands was much ado about nothing. On Fox and Friends Sunday morning, Hegseth told his co-hosts, Ed Henry and Jedediah Bila, that he didn't believe in the sanitary activity. The admission was prompted by Bila calling out Hegseth for eating leftover day-old pizza on the set. Now, that's gross. I'm gonna be fair here. I have no problem with eating cold leftover pizzas from the fridge. But apparently there was a box of pizza like on the ground or like on a table. I don't know exactly where it was. And he actually grabbed some and ate it. And so they criticized him. In response, he said, my 2019 resolution is to say things on air that I say off air, Hegseth said to his co-hosts. I don't think I've washed my hands for 10 years. As Henry and Bila laughed at his proclamation, Hegseth doubled down. I inoculate myself. Germs are not a real thing. I can't see them. Therefore, they're not real. Oh my God, that's such an obvious joke. He was making a joke. Okay, he talks about how by his hands being dirty, he won't get sick because he's inoculating himself. And then jokingly said, germs, he can't see them. They don't exist. What? He can't simultaneously believe that he's inoculating himself by eating germs and germs not existing. However, Fox News Fox News spokesperson Jacqueline Giuliano told USA Today that Hegseth was joking, pointing to a Twitter chain between... Why is USA Today reaching out to a Fox News spokesperson to ask if a joke is a joke? This is it. We can talk about how these insane activist journalists pump out fake news all day and night, but this is another really good example of just how psychotic media is. He said germs aren't real. We better get a statement. Are you nuts? My God. So they pointed to a Twitter chain between Hegseth and MSNBC host Chris Hayes. Hayes replied to a video of Hegseth comments by saying he's pretty clearly joking. Hegseth retweeted Hayes' post, adding, when even Chris L. Hayes, can see the obvious, Twitter really has come full circle. I'll pull up those tweets in a second. Previously, Hegseth commented on Twitter about hand washing, following a tweet by user SmittyMHS's defending the Fox News host. Hegseth retweeted the post, adding, don't wash. Hashtag don't wash. USA Today requested an interview with Hegseth and will update the story when we speak with him. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. The media is just so desperate for news, and apparently now I have to comment on this, okay? This is a really good example. Look, save this story, and I mean this for real. When you see stories about the alt-right, when you see stories about, was it Huffington Post ran a story about how Gab users have horrible recipes, and it's like, so what? Why are you writing a story about some random dude on a social network making masticholi? I don't care. It's not news. This should be a really good example. Because when someone writes that, like, Count Dankula is far right, people believe it because it sounds like news. But what they're really doing is they're taking nonsense and they're writing about it because they have nothing else to write about. Just like this. USA Today actually is trying to get an interview with Pete Hegseth because he jokingly said he doesn't wash his hands. That's how desperate the news is for content. And now I have to comment on it, And I really am mad. You've seen me get angry before, but I'm really frustrated because this story keeps making rounds. Why? Though Hegseth joked about washing his hands, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention does not consider it a laughing matter. As the nation's health protection agency notes, 1 gram of human feces, which is about the weight of a paper clip, can contain 1 trillion germs. The USA Today posted a statement from the CDC because a guy on TV made a joke about eating pizza. The CDC states that routine washing of hands with soap and clean running water is crucial in battling against sickness and the spread of diseases. If you stop washing your hands, it will have an effect on your health and the health of others around you, according to Jamin Brahmanbhat, a physician at Orlando. Okay, I'm sorry, it wasn't from the CDC, but they posted a statement from the CDC on how many germs are in feces. And they got a statement from a physician on the story. I want to apologize. Okay, hold on. Let me read this quote before we continue. Washing your hands is the easiest way to protect yourself and others from spreading bugs that can live on your hands, Brahmanbhat previously told USA Today. We can get germs on our hands by touching other parts of our body, sneezing or coughing, touching other people or things like animals or meat. Yes, because apparently none of us have been to the first grade when they teach us about germs and how to wash your hands. Or apparently none of us have been to a Wendy's bathroom where the sign says employees must wash hands and they have a little diagram explaining how to get under your fingernails. You know what I want to say? The first thing I want to say, I got the tweets pulled up. I want to look at them. Ben Tobin. You have my utmost sympathy. I want you to imagine this. I've worked for these news organizations. There was a story that Fusion ran about a weird image of the Monopoly Man on Imager. If you're not familiar with Imager, it's a place where you can upload photos, kind of like YouTube, whatever, I don't know. And the story was that for some reason there were millions of images that you'd pull up, and it was a picture of the Monopoly guy. I think it was the Monopoly guy with puppeteering social media networks. And they were fascinated by it. This was, I kid you not, a Monday morning news meeting where somebody pitched this story and they all went, wow, run with it. So first of all, the story's ridiculous and who cares? Okay, it's an interesting little factoid, I guess. It turns out it's because images that are like 404 errors that don't come up, something in the code made it default to 1 picture. So it wasn't the picture existed a million times. It was that all of the dead links would link to 1 picture. Important thing I'm trying to bring up is that the story was 6 months old, had already been written about by a bunch of blogs, God knows why, and this is what news sites do. They sit around playing a game of telephone, and for some reason, Fusion, which is now called Splinter, published a story about this 6 months after we already knew what happened, and they didn't know what happened. They wrote the story saying, I guess this is a mystery and we'll never know why it happened. What do you mean? I did a Google search. I heard him talking about it. I was like, oh, that's interesting. A Google search, boom, 50 stories popped up from 6 months ago. But this is what the news media does. And this is why I've been so critical of these New York-based digital ventures. The reason why I express my sympathies to Ben Tobin is I'm sure him and other people are sitting around in their morning editorial meeting and some editor or some boss goes, can we get someone to write up this Pete Hegseth thing? Apparently doesn't wash his hands. Ben, can you write that up? Or he gets an email and it's like, Ben, we need someone to write up the story. And I'm sure Ben's sitting there going like, oh my God, dude, do I really have to write about this? And they're like, yeah, get some quotes. So he literally takes a joke, writes about it, gets a statement from a physician and the CDC. Okay. Pete Hegseth tweeted, to paraphrase the president from an hour ago, the media is so self-righteous and angry. Loosen up and have some fun. The country is doing well, as is my health. He said, P.S. I also support drinking from garden hoses and riding bikes without a helmet. Cue outrage. People thought, no, I'm sorry. I do not believe anyone thought this was anything but a joke. I think people on the left wanted something to smear this dude over when he was very clearly joking. And there are at least people like Chris Hayes. Look at this. Aaron, hold on, I want to play the video. I'm going too long. Fox News, from Aaron Rupar. Fox News' Pete Hegseth admits, unprompted, that he hasn't washed his hands in 10 years. Germs are not a real thing, Pete says. I can't see them, therefore they're not real. This is activist media. There's a reason why I wanted to talk about this beyond the frustration I have when seeing stupid stories. Because this one's so blatantly obvious to us. This video's got 1.25 million views.
I don't think I've watched. As I told you, my 2019 resolution is to say things on air that I say off air. I don't think I've washed my hands for 10 years. Really, I don't really wash my hands.
Someone help me!
No, I inoculate myself. It's just not, germs are not a real thing. I can't see them, therefore they're not real.
So you're becoming immune to all the
Exactly,
bacteria.
I can't get sick.
My dad.
It's very clearly a joke. I laughed. I can't see them, therefore they're not real. That's the joke. Chris Hayes said he's ... pretty clearly joking. And then he responds with, is this a joke too? Hashtag don't wash. Yes! Oh my God. Thank you, Chris Hayes, for not being, for at least now, I don't watch Chris Hayes' show, but for not being insane. But okay, we see two things here. Either these people are insane, like they're really dumb, and they think this is not a joke, or they're dragging him on purpose, and they do this for everybody. But the point is, what you see here makes it plainly obvious. No rational human being is going to be like, I'm sure that guy doesn't wash his hands. What are you talking about? Of course he does. I'm done. I'm going to go eat pizza or something. Not day-old pizza from under the sofa. I'm done. I'll see you guys tomorrow.